All right, I think we're back. Oh my gosh. What in the
Sorry about
world?
that, friends. OBS has been seeming to crash on us a lot lately, so Vertex going to be looking into it a little bit more over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm just gonna rebuild the whole thing. That's gonna be a treat.
Thank you. Real quick, player collision. Ito was saying, speaking of collision, was on a mount heading into north of KT, got run over by a ship and got stuck on the bow. Dismounted and ended up inside the ship. Was fun. Also, FYI, schooner is auto filtered out by chat.
Huh.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Huh. Wonder why. Like the whole entire word, or does it grab just I think I see the part that it okay, I got you.
Mm,
The same reason you
yeah,
that
thank you, Oracle.
part of raccoon would be filtered out. Can't talk about
Okay.
trash pandas with their actual name. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Noob Taska says, imagine coming back like, wait, how much beer was I drinking while fishing? I don't remember how I got here. You just suddenly show up at a whole other like random area that you weren't fishing in. I think that'd be kind of funny. A little bit like feels bad because he could desummon the rowboat and they would go to the bottom of the water. But
Well, in theory, the bottom they might float at the top. Who knows? Either way, they can be out in the middle of
no,
nowhere.
he literally desummoned and watched.
Oh no!
Yeah. um,
Oh
but
lordy!
I think this is like a big important thing though, going back to the guild storage thing. I think the world is advanced in enough of a way, I guess. I don't know a better word for that. That having the quality of life ability to remove your guild storage and then move it somewhere else would be ideal. Even if it costs something, even if there was like some sort of cost to it. Usually with a beer.
Yeah,
Nice.
usually with a beer, I
Um,
like it. That's great.
was it Irwin? Was it Irwin that responded? Because that sounds like an Irwin thing to say.
It does. It
But
does.
um, but anyway, I was saying that I think that it would be really helpful for either the ability to item or money sink some money for being able to move the guild storage or something, I guess, because one thing that is really important in part of Ashes is that you're not necessarily always going to stay in the same settlement. Sometimes you might find your guild moving to a different settlement. And I think it's important to be able to have the ability for your guild to change where that home settlement is. I understand the reasoning behind not having multiple item material storages in different settlements, but um, at least being able to move which settlement that's in, I think would be ideal.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Ikoma mentioned, the guild material storage voucher. It says that on the bottom of, I forget if it was the guild window or the guild storage window, but it says vouchers and it says like 0 out of 1. So in theory, you'll be able to earn more and spend them. My curiosity makes me think if it's going to be only spendable within like your home settlement or those within its zone of influence, or if you can legitimately establish like a base of material operations on like the different side of the continent, which would be great. Like you don't get all the tax benefits or anything of like a citizenship, but you can at least store things and kind of operate out of a different area a little bit.
Yeah. Curious to see what they're gonna do with the big like world once it's all put together officially. You can actually like traverse it fully. Let's see. Scribe should be able to make guild material storage vouchers. I like that since the guild storage uses the plural version of the word vouchers. I think that would be an ideal. I think that
Mm-hmm,
recipe is intended in just missing especially once node destruction is working. Yeah, that too. I think the materials will always be location bound. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really mind that.
Yeah,
Just like
definitely.
yeah, that's not a concern. I'm just saying if the guild wants to move from somewhere in the desert to the anvils for whatever reason,
I mean,
then they should be able to have the ability to take all of the things out of the guild storage and either get their voucher back or like pay money to close the storage and then get that voucher back, whichever that way has to go, and then open it in the anvils with that same one voucher, not
I
having.
mean, honestly, even just being able to say like, hey folks, so for the next couple months we're going to be focusing on the new raid that just opened up since whatever settlement just popped to tier 5 and it opened up now, and this other stuff and whatever other predicates happened, and it's brand new. We're going to go over there. We have a storage voucher, so I'm going to go over right now and purchase a slot, just start moving some things over. We're going to stay citizens over here. We're just going over there for like 2 months to gather some gear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like on a different continent or something, and you just open up a storage spot over there for like a month or two.
Yeah. That would be nice. I mean, I know there's things with like the baronies and leveling up the guild and things like that where you get access to different things, but I also would like the ability to either pay money to upgrade the guild storage or something, because I often find, as one of the parts of leadership for Nexus, that guild storage gets pretty full pretty quickly. So
It's true.
it would be nice to see some options to expand that. I suppose this can go into like the artisan chats, because one reason why a guild might move is because of the artisans.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And on the same vein of quality of life things, I think it would be really nice to see the ability for us to craft from the storage within that settlement. And that way I don't have to run back and forth as much. I know that that's an intended feature going forward, but it's just one of those things where it's like, it would be nice to have that, because I think it's something that they tried implementing at one point and then it broke. But also with the marketplace, it would be nice to be able to choose something from within the settlement storage as well to put on the marketplace, so I don't have to run back and forth, and I can be like, oh, I see this thing is selling for however much, and I want to check my storage to see if I have any of that I can sell, and then I can pop it on there right away, kind of thing, instead of stopping and running back over to the what do you call it, the storage vendor person, and then grabbing it out of my storage and then going back to the marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah, crafting and selling out of storage would be amazing. That would be possibly my, maybe not favorite, but near the top of my favorites of features we don't need right now, but if they did it, I would be really happy.
Well, I guess for me it'd be arguable whether or not we need it, because if you think about some of the larger settlements right now, the biggest issues and complaints I've seen through the community, we didn't really experience it because we were in the anvils, is that it takes like 20 minutes just to access the storage vendor because of how many people were all around the storage people, or that it was lagging out so badly. So being able to access your items or your inventory from the crafting table or from the marketplace would help with alleviating some of that clustering just to get access to your storage. So while it is quality of life that could possibly be lower typically on the tier, I think due to the problems that are causing the lag and the inability to access your storage for a good period of time, somebody was saying like 20 minutes. It took them 20 minutes just to access their storage. because of the lag. And I feel like that would help alleviate some of that. Desert Soul says, get rid of regents, just build it into the progression cost or processing cost. Yes, I feel like that's another big thing. I feel like, let's see, I don't remember where it was. I think maybe, oh, you know what it was? It was a comment on our YouTube video. Let me grab it real quick. So Zeke commented on our podcast and said that I'm not a fan of how currently there's so many arbitrary money sinks that have no effect on settlement economy or crafting whatsoever. If I'm journeyman fishing, maybe I should be able to craft lures or maybe even make metal workers handle that. And I think that that's been a bigger complaint. Like, while the Regents was an interesting direction and not necessarily a bad one, sometimes it just gets a little unwieldy. Like, I am making a journeyman shirt for someone and I need 23 collar fastenings for one shirt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it gets really ridiculous again, like the journeyman and probably above, especially, like, simple tools, just simple tools. I want a bow. Okay, cool. Go cut down 7,000 trees. It's an exaggeration. It's really like 700, but still. That many effing trees. It's crazy.
Nice. Pro tip from Mr. Noobtastic, just use the caravansary guy. I've seen tons of peeps around had no delay. Nice. Tip from Zillant. Yeah, I've definitely used it before. When I went down to the more busy areas, I would talk to the caravansary person because you can manage your inventory from him. And I would just quickly repair and drop stuff off and then go running back. So you only get to take the single best splinter from each tree. Exactly. Now, Desert Souls' reagents could be neat if other professions were the only source of them, but as it is currently, it's just bloat. And
yeah, that's what we've been saying for a minute. Yeah, we've been saying that for a little while. Like, I think it's just silly that I got to go to an NPC just to buy this one, whatever it is, just because, for reasons. Like, just cook it in. I mean, it's not even the biggest cost, even in processing. Like, it'll cost you, well, I guess once you start getting up in the higher processing things, maybe it'll get more and more expensive, but just build it into the processing cost and be done with it. Like, why create an extra step that's just a hassle to run halfway across town to buy some from an NPC that doesn't have a limited supply? It's not even like you have to buy them whenever they're available, because they might not have some available, and that's why the reagents are so important. No, it's nothing like that. They have an infinite amount of them. So it's just a hassle at the moment. But if you could have other gatherers, processors, etc., create that stuff, or have it be leftover bits of this and that and the other, like I don't know, the belly grit. What is that even? I don't know. But if it's just something that has yeast in it, all it really needs to be is like fruit clippings from making like or not fruit clippings, but like fruit leftovers when you're making like a blueberry pie or something. There you go. You got little bits of fruit left over that has yeast in it. Congratulations, you can now make beer.
Mr. Noobtastic says, Vertec, don't go putting that limit on Regent's idea in Steven's head.
Don't worry, that'll be in the next emergency patch.
Mm.
Well, we fixed some things, and also we made reagents limited.
Another big thing to do with artisan stuff is like tool belts, skivvies, shirts, things like that. This is from Lord Arthur. He's like, in my opinion, it's sad not being able to choose a bonus for the gear. I know it's for a profession, but the bonus helps. And in this case, they have a highlight image of a hunting quality journeyman hunter's tool belt with 192 mana regen. And they said gaining power or HP or defense would be much better than mana regen or nothing. I have a question, actually several. Excuse my poor English, I'm Brazilian, but let me know if there's a better place to discuss this. If you can choose it in creation, or if it's at random status, that can be chance or an NPC or item using gold, etc. I think this will add more value or utility. And what do you think? And this is something that like I have heard our people within our guild complain about a lot. Like I go to make them a shirt and they're like, oh, well, do you have this or this or this as like the secondary stat? And I was like, I'm sorry, this is all I have access to. Or I can see in the list of different recipes that I can learn that there's a second whole set of recipes for bags, but I have no idea how to access those. And there's nothing in the toolkit, like the UIs or anything, that show how to access that or where to get it or anything. And I do think that it would be nice, especially as a artisan, to have control over what the secondary stat is. If I want something that is perfect for my character, if I'm supposed to be able to make the best shit as a crafter, would the best shit not be the most ideal thing for me?
So here's where the game isn't done yet statement makes a like surprise backstab, because that's
Right.
one of the things that he was saying before, is that artisans will be able to, or Steven, by the way, that's always he. That's what Steven was saying is going to be eventually a thing, is artisans will be able to change and alter the attributes that are on crafted gear. But what exact impact and how it's done, who knows? Maybe the primary stat needs to remain the same, but anything else you can adjust, or maybe you can swap one of them out for something else, or maybe all of them, who knows? Exchange them on a 2-to-1, like you remove 2 of these points to add 1 of another. Who knows what the end result's going to be, but so yeah, soon, as Noob says. But I think it'd be really cool to have recipes that you can either get them very easily in town, or they come by default, where the core stat needs to be exactly what it is. That's it. That's the recipe, is the core stat, and the other things you can fiddle around with. They're never going to be the biggest stat on the gear, but you can impact all the other stats. And then you need to go out and find the other recipes, and there wouldn't be any indication of where to find them, or how to get them, or how you come across them, what creature you need to slay, because that's going to get somebody out there some exclusivity on the perfect gear. Like by the time you hit max level, you're a grandmaster miner, right? Yeah. And so you don't really care about experience, but that's the number one stat, the primary stat on all of the gatherer gear that would help you out. So you get upset by that, but somebody magical comes along with one that has quality rating or speed, or what's the other one? Spoils. And you go, oh my gosh, I will pay you all of my money to buy a full set of that gear, because you found them. You found them. Where did you find them? I can't tell you that, but I can make them for you. And they're going to make a mint, because they're the only ones who have it. And I think that I think would actually be pretty great.
To catch up on chat, Desert Soul says, not sure why they linked combat stats to some of the artisan gear. Yeah. I think that was intended to make it more viable, since the idea is you'd be wearing this while also going out doing other things like fighting bosses, etc. Like as a person who's an herbalist, I'm out gathering herbs and probably having to fight mobs, so having some sort of benefit to keeping myself alive is ideal, I guess. I'm not really bothered by it. It would be nice, like Yuzzy said, to be able to make the secondary stat whatever you're wanting it to be. Yuzzy says the herbalism bag not having quality is annoying. Noobtastic says, ugh, yeah, being able to pick stats and crafting in general is a must at some point. Then Yuzzy says substats should be modifiable. Replace regents with items that provide a certain substat to craft when crafting. I like that. And then Noobtastic says, I mean, we're still going to get gems and all that too, so I envision a ton of gear changes are still coming. And the reality is, like, yes, we are still very much in an alpha, but that's also where it would be really cool to see some sort of like completion percentage. There was a couple of times I heard, it'd be really cool if Ashes did what Baldur's Gate does with this many people have played cleric, and this many people have played tank, and this many people died before level 10, etc. One thing I would like to see that I've seen from other places is not necessarily a date-based like where we are system in terms of what's the word I'm trying to think of right now, where they list out all the things that their goals are.
Like milestones, roadmap.
Yeah, kind of like milestones, I guess. Roadmap, there we go. Not milestone based roadmap, but also like a completion percentage roadmap of like in our milestones, we're hoping to have this, and this completed at the end of this milestone. And these are the percentages that we currently are in these different systems, so that like especially a new person coming in could look at that and be like, oh, they're like 50% done with the system. So like they're mostly there. Maybe they're like getting close to doing just the fine tuning and balancing parts of it, but this is kind of more or less where it's going to be. Like that kind of gives a bit more context to somebody who's like walking in on this. And I think it would align very nicely with Intrepid's open development system and process.
Think so.
Some of the things. New Tastic says, they figured you are spending the time and money to get the artisan gear that could have been spent on combat gear, so it's fair to have combat stats a bit in the artisan's mix. That's a good point. Ito says, I'd like deconstruction kits to have a percentage chance to provide a recipe. Yes, same. I think that would be an amazing thing to have. And then also I'd be deconstructing apprentice processing XP scrolls. I can't find that anywhere. And then Oracle says, the problem I have with those combat stats on artisan gear is that it forces you to match your artisans with your class. If they are avoiding matching race with class, why bring that back in with the profession instead?
I mean, to be fair, though, in response to that directly is that if you have two gathering professions, then you're going to be switching it from time to time, right? So you could absolutely switch when you're in adventuring mode and just literally grab whatever stuff is going to give you the best combat benefit, right? For that matter, even once crafters are able to adjust what stats are on the artisan gear, I absolutely see people ordering, legendary versions of crafting gear, or not crafting gear, but like gathering gear, because they're going to be able to get the stats off of them when they go out and do their combat. It's not going to be like a world-ending thing, but it's going to give them an extra, 2% boost, right? So 2% boost is 2% boost when you already have as much as you can possibly get. Right.
I mean, Pocket says, I love combat stats on my artisan gear. It gives me a reason to wear it, but it's so minimal.
I mean, it's going to be a reason for people who aren't really doing gathering stuff to go and buy gathering gear from a crafter. So it's going to keep them in business extra.
Yeah. And then another topic kind of related to artisan stuff is pylons. And I think this is something that Oracle holds dear. This is from Dokeland. It's part of their bigger crafting discussion for 2026. There's a huge amount here, so I will just give you the link so you guys can go and check them out yourself. But this specific section is talking about the pylons, and they do really wish that pylons were currently craftable in this build, and their fingers are crossed that they'll come back soon. There's another related discussion about pylons being tradable and gathering being enhanced by pylons. Tradable? I liked that the pylons were tradable to help arcane engineers on the marketplace more. Pylons quality and spoils. It seems to me that the spoils and quality are driven several factors. Gear, the perks on the gathering tool, clothing, the artisanships, professions, shirts, skivvies, tool belts, etc. The settlements buffs, and then pylons. Gear is player dependent, settlement buff is zone dependent, and the pylon would be something else, wide AoE effect. But really just reveals what is based on the player's activation of the tier of the pylon, and not the resources within the scanned area. But it's one of those things, like, we know pylons exist. Oracle really, really, really likes the survey pylons. He really wants them back. And I would like to see it be at least very meaningful when it does make its return. And I wonder if that's part of the reason why it's not currently in, is maybe it wasn't at a state or as meaningful as they wanted it to be.
There's also the possibility that since they changed away from static node rarity, that they changed it up to, they're changing up the pylons too. Maybe they're fully going down the road I was hoping, and they're gonna make the pylons just choose a node somewhere when you drop one down, and it's gonna say that one over there. If you can make it to that one over there, it's gonna increase the quality, or maybe it increases the quality of everything in the area, depending on how they do it. But at that point, they're gonna have to change everything on how it references the other nodes nearby, instead of finding a specific one or increasing all of them. I mean, that's the only way it could have stayed the same, is if it was increasing all of the nodes in that area.
Yeah. Fair. It's just, I don't know. I'm really curious because, like, one other complaint that people had were like, why do I need 700 quality just to increase my quality a little bit? Like, why is it such a high number? It
because
feels
legendary is legendary.
loaded. Well, no, not even like 700 quality for me barely takes a common up to a green.
Well, yeah, that's that. But that's the thing. If you had 700 quality, because you got everything you possibly could for quality rating, and that meant you could take common materials and turn it into epic, that'd be kind of OP.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, even with mixing, it would take like at least 700 just to make a commons being mixed in go up to green. Yeah.
I just think, especially, it'd be especially important once you get towards the higher tiers. That way, everyone who was chanting, legendary is legendary, which I was one of them.
Yeah.
Pick up, excuse me. You wouldn't be able to go out and just get a ton of epics or, heroics and turn it into legendary just because you got, legendary crafting gear. That's all you need. Now everything can become legendary for the entire guild. Just gather up all the heroic stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm not referring to that. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm not referring to that as much as like still the gathering side of things. Like even with the quality rating up as high as that is, the gathering is still like minimal increase on the rarity.
I mean, it would still kind of hold up, right? Because you figure even if you go half as much, like just to be simple, like you have, I don't even know how that would work out all the way up that chain of that many different things, but if you have a 50% chance to get a common or 60% chance to get a common and a 1% chance or a 0.5% chance to get a legendary, well, the epic right below that legendary is going to end up being a 1.5% chance, so it's 3 times as likely to get epics. So if you make the quality rating, if you get as high as you possibly can to not give you a full tier, then that means you still need to get at least one legendary something in a crafted thing. And then the equivalent of down to gathering is you really need to get, like, imagine when you're gathering something, it hits the entire rainbow. It doesn't just say like common, uncommon, and then maybe you get an upgrade from that, but it actually goes by a quality rating and it says you land on right here, and you could be halfway through the common tier or halfway through the heroic tier or almost at the epic tier, and then that little bit of quality rating you got kicks you just over into epic. And now it's a flat whatever the epic is. But if you make it so that you can get an entire tier bump out of it, then you're hitting that exponentially higher chance of getting a heroic, and that's going to kick you over to legendary every single time as soon as you can land a heroic, which is going to be like probably 10 times as likely, if not more, than a legendary. So I kind of like that it's not quite a full tier of boost, or if it is even a tier boost at the lower end.
Even if you keep the ratio where it is, this is kind of the same argument we had previously about power rating being such a ridiculously high number with minimal results. I'm just saying the number seems really bloated for the actual amount that you get out of it.
Oh, so instead of it being like 700, it should be 70 and just drop down everything like
Yeah.
one tens digit.
Yeah. Like if I have a quality rating of 700, that feels really amazing. But then I go out there and I maybe get a couple more rares than I got previously, and that's not really all that amazing.
I mean,
Like
honestly,
I'm just saying, if I see a big number, it should feel big. It
I mean,
doesn't.
honestly, they might be able to make everybody happy by keeping the large numbers in the background, and when it goes up to display, it divides it by like 100 and rounds off that last number and just calls it a day.
Yeah.
That's the number that you see.
Yeah.
It's not the actual number that we're using to measure, but that's the number you see.
Yeah. Noob Tastic says just like gathering quality increase your gamba odds, similar to luck, not necessarily a flat tier bump. Fair. And Ito goes, big number is big, kind of like anime making everything X thousand. It's over 9,000.
It's over 9,000. Honestly, I still think it'd be great if they ever do like vertical power increases for expansions. If they keep the top numbers the same, but they mathematically adjust everything else below it. Like the max health you can get with the max gear, with the max enchants and everything is 10,000 health. Let's just say. And that 10,000 health remains the same every single major expansion, but it just crushes the numbers below it. So you feel like you got weaker at the beginning of a new expansion, but you can grow your power back. And then you don't really see that like power bloat that people complain about over a long period of time because they're constantly crushing everything below it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you hit a new expansion and you still feel like you got to go out and get more powerful, right?
I do think there is supposedly an intent for horizontal as well, not just vertical.
Yeah. Honestly, though, unless there's a really solidly engaging story, I've always felt that horizontal power growth only feels really weird. It feels decent for Guild Wars because of how the game is put together.
How they do it,
how they do all the stories, and it's really great. It's a really in-depth story. It's like crazy. It takes you all around the same maps you used to visit before, so there's a really good benefit for it being horizontal because you're going to visit the same like max level maps that you were at before, and you're going to fight the same kind of creatures with a different story, maybe a little bit of a different setup to it. You're going to phase into a different feeling of that area. But without that like episodic purchase, because you could totally skip an entire like 2-year expansion, skip the entire thing because you just don't like dragons or whatever the case is, because you didn't want to buy that one, and just go buy some individual stories from the next expansion that comes out. You don't even like the introduction story, you like the stuff that was in the middle. Somebody told you it was really awesome, you could just go buy that and jump right into it. And so it feels all right with the way that Guild Wars is set up. But mainly it's because of the world building, the way that they take you around the same maps over and over, and the way the story is actually pretty well in depth, and it involves all the same stuff you see all the time. But in a game like Ashes, I'm not sure if it would feel as good, because settlements are going to rise and fall, and I think it's going to be really tough for them to really make it theme parky enough where horizontal power growth is going to really feel impactful and feel satisfying.
I think that's one of those, like, I think there's a balance to be struck.
Stricken.
Stricken.
You've been forstrucken.
I feel like there's some cases where horizontal will make absolute sense. I could see possible horizontal in a artisan skill tree, but in other cases, I don't think it makes as much sense. And like Mr. Newtastic says, it's very hard to incentivize players to put in the time and effort for horizontal progression. And Ito says, oh yeah, question. Did they give a date for when you need to hit 25 to get the cosmetics after Steam release? I may have missed that, and I'm really casually leveling and need to know if I need a rush. I did not know about a date specifically. I am 25 already, and the last time I logged in, I did not have the cosmetic. So
early access is basically just during early access. Once it comes out of early access, they're probably going to give you enough notice that you could if you wanted to start a brand new character and still hit 25 in a rush, I wouldn't worry too much about like running out of time on that. Just go ahead and take your time, enjoy everything, explore everything as you will, and you'll get there. You'll get there. Unless
Jesse says the date to hit 25 is beta.
Yeah, that's basically exactly it right there. Yeah. So when they announce the beta and they say it's gonna be landing like 3 months from now, you got 3 months to go from 1 to 25.
Yeah.
And you could, if you wanted to, find probably a couple other people just that want to do something and just goof off and get a quick power level from 1 to 25. And heck, by then you might even know enough that you'll be able to power level yourself from 1 to 25 in 2 or 3 months, even as casual.
Even as a casual.
Because I know it hasn't gotten harder to level. And we did it in what, 2 days? Or 3 days during the first of Alpha 2 launch. We took like I think it was like 2.5 days.
We did not really sleep during that time. We didn't really sleep. So.
I think we actually slept a grand total of probably 12 to 13 hours in that time. But the point being that you could absolutely do it with 2 months notice, even as a casual, because it would end up being like 50 hours to get to 25 or something.
Mr. Noob says, we'll power level to 25 for cloaks, 10 gold each.
There we go.
I
like it.
Yeah, your main's
cleric?
a cleric.
You'll be good. You'll be good.
Yeah, you know. So did you... We still have plenty to talk about if you're still chatty.
Let's do it. I know I know you got to tap out by 11. And I will probably say that I'll leave her in the same time instead of staying on, just because OBS has been being weird.
Yeah.
I don't want it to crash out again until I get a chance to look at it. This weekend is going to be I'm going to rebuild all of everything in OBS from the ground up. I hope that fixes it.
I think this is the last like major of the topics. The other two feels kind of minor. Like the only other one was that somebody was saying that they felt like the game felt unbalanced, which to that I would say yes, because this is in early access and it is not quite balanced yet.
Not balanced.
So I just kind of wanted to, I added that in here mainly as a PSA for anyone expecting this game to be balanced in any sort of form or fashion. It will not be. It is not in the intention anytime soon for it to be balanced, as they are still working on creating and delivering the base intended systems. And only once they have all of the intended systems where they'd like them to be, will there be a major balance and polish overview. They may go back through and balance things here and there, like with the classes and things like that, but that is not the current focus. Just as a heads up for anybody new.
The balancing act right now is like seeing two siblings fight, and the parent gives the shorter one a longer stick and says that they'll be fine. That's balance. Go. Do your thing. Get out of the house.
Go back to fighting. I don't care.
Yes.
So this one is we're going into the economy conversations, because that's a big thing for a lot of people, especially with going into phase 3 and the economy changes. And I mean, sure, we had the bots that kind of caused some issues with like the RMTing and things like that, and just really tanking the value of some of the commodity crates. But all of that aside, this is from Vaclav. I'm not sure how to say your name. Sorry. So the problem: who, what, when, where, how. The problem is early game, enemies drop items but do not drop money or currency. The game pushes you toward purchasing items early but does not establish a clear, reliable way to earn money first. And many lootable items appear to be unsellable and also cannot convert into crafting resources, which makes them feel like wasted drops. I actually agree with that last one as an artisan, because I was trying to do deconstruction kits so I can get some materials back, and many of the early lootable items were not deconstructable. When and where it shows up immediately in the early game, especially when the quest tells you to go buy something, and why it matters. This economy loop feels less intuitive and less old school than expected. Loot feels less meaningful when other items, or when items don't reliably convert into progression, which is money and materials. What their expectation is that humanoids should drop some money or currency sometimes in addition to items, which I'm not sure if this person is aware that glint does translate to money and it should be dropping glint. Non-humanoid enemies, animals, plants, creatures should generally drop materials and items, not money. Quests, I think that's kind of funny because I think they just reverted it from that. Quests, especially early quests that require buying, should provide money reliably. I also think that would be a very fair thing, where if you complete the precursor quest, it gave you enough money to buy the item from maybe a merchant, so that the item's cost is standard. Because if it's something like, oh, go buy some bluebell or snowdrop and daffodil, that's a fluctuating cost. That's not a reliable cost. So the game can't reliably give you money for that. And then also every non-quest item that can be picked up should be both sellable to an NPC for money and deconstructible or destroyable into crafting resources. And then they go on into like other things, but just from that, I feel like I sympathize with them. I understand where they're coming from. However, like, again, my comment on the glint thing, it kind of seems fine. But Vertec, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is the rough part, is we're still in the experimental phase when it comes to the economy in general. Farther along than we were before, but also farther behind where we were before at different phases and different times. So they're kind of bouncing around and playing with different ideas, which is, don't get me wrong, it's a complaint, but it's also a valid thing they're going through that's going to be very important for the future, because they're zeroing in, like doing some limit testing and trying this and trying that, seeing what works, what doesn't, what really doesn't work, and what really does work. And trying to zero in on the real good sweet spot that's going to feel like you've earned something and you're accomplishing things, and not everybody's going to get the fancy stuff and the super giant pile of money, but the people who work for it or figure out the way to really work the system are going to get it. So it feels rough right now, but I know that they're working towards an end goal, and I'm okay with working towards the end goal as long as we see that there's progress along the way. You know,
Absolutely.
and I've always been on board with the humanoid things should drop gear and potentially money, because they're going to have things in their pockets, right? And non-humanoids should drop more things like materials and fur and stuff. I still think that furs and maybe even some meats should come just from slaying creatures. You shouldn't have to always hunt something. Hunting something as a gathering skill should give you more and higher quality, because you're specializing in hunting something specifically for the purpose of using that meat or using that fur or using the animal components towards something. And honestly, even hunters should be the ones that do the skinning and the stripping of meat from bones and stuff like that. Like, sure, it makes sense for a cook to do it, but it would give the hunter something else to do to, one, increase their skill in between finding a huntable creature, and for two, it kind of makes sense, because now they can take the meat and sell it to a cook. They can take the fur and sell it to a leather worker, or a tailor, whichever one is going to end up making use of it. Take the fat and sell it to whoever's going to use it. What stoneworking uses it in making bricks or something. So, like, it would give the hunter a lot more things to do with creatures, but they would either way, like, they would have more materials to creatures and plant life and things like that. Maybe things that you can sell for what was the word they were using? They were using something like coupons or something as a term before, like where you go to a hunting lodge and they would tell you to collect X amount of these, and you would go and you would collect those from the creatures, and you would return them for a reward. So that's what you should get from hunting creatures like non-humanoids. But then humanoids, yes, absolutely drop gear. But you know what? It should be common. It should be the low tier common for that level branch. So you know what, you have 3 tiers and a bunch of different grades within the tier, right? So where is it the other way around? I don't know. I forget. They made it kind of confusing. But either way, the level, say 10 to 20. There's 3 different blocks of gear, power ranges. You should drop things should drop like the common and maybe uncommon for the super badass like named mobs. Sure, let's get some rare, but they should all be the lowest tier. Like they should all be the lowest tier. That way crafters are still important because they're going to make the multiple different, rare, uncommon, epic. Like they can make whatever tier, and they can make whatever quality, and they can go for the highest tier in the grade, and they can make it legendary. But you're not going to find a legendary highest tier just floating around in the wild,
Right.
But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. It gives people some gear to make some kind of progression at the same time as making sure that crafters are still like the most important when it comes to obtaining gear.
Makes sense. Frosty Thundertot says, I think that white or common gear should be dropping a lot, but it seems to be just as hard to find as uncommon gear. Noobtastic said that humanoids should drop gear, coins, gems, and consumables, which, I mean, you've seen Highwayman Hills. There's one of those guys, or was it Highwayman Hills or was it Remnants of Civilian Vertec? One of the NPCs I'm telling you, one of the NPCs chug a potion and that empowers them. I can't remember if it was Highwayman Hills or...
Pretty sure that was Highwayman Hills. Yeah. That's
what I was thinking too. And so I'm thinking if the NPCs are chugging a potion that makes them more powerful, they should definitely drop consumables. Like, if he had that on him, but we killed him before he drank it, I should be able to have a chance of getting that. Like, for our tank or for a fighter or somebody, Mr. Noobtastic says also that all animals, all mats that make sense for their type, having it. Ito says hunters to get clean kills that make pretty mats. Getting the real hunting system installed one day is going to be huge. 3 tiers per upgrade. Yeah, it's crazy. But that is taking away a processing step that other professions don't get. And yes and no. Like it takes away a processing step, sure, kind of. But if you think about it, like Intrepid just recently rolled back their update to getting 5 or so skins at one time instead of just the 3 or so that you typically get. I don't know, they gave you a lot more initially, and then they recently rolled that back. But with the amount of skins needed to make any gear whatsoever within tailoring or even leatherworking, you need skins in both. And so there's this major competition for skins. There's almost no huntables. You've got to hunt so many of them just to get the rarity that you're looking for. You finally get the rarity you're looking for, and that's 3 out of 20 at minimum for one thing. And it's a little bit frustrating in that sense. And then on top of that, if you do hunt it and it's not a carcass, it's an actual trainable, then you're missing out on the meat there. Meanwhile, the rest of us adventurers are out here killing grums, killing ravens, killing bears. There's plenty of meat available right there to be able to grab some meat. I would love to see it as maybe a expansion onto the cooking profession, to have maybe a carving knife, where if you kill a kind of like World of Warcraft with the leatherworking or the skinning profession, once you kill a bear, you're able to go up to that bear and harvest a portion of its meat, possibly for cooking, because you would know which parts to cut, and it's clearly not going to be a huntable at that point. So I would like to see something like that.
Yeah, you know what? And that's going to be a weird balance though too, because you figure both or all 3 of a hunter, a tanner, and a cook would all probably know their way around animal biology enough to be able to get meat, bones, and skin out of it. But where do you put the bonuses? I think maybe the tanner tree should be able to get more skin or better quality skin, but less meat or less quality meat. And the cook the opposite, but then hunter can get both because they're hunting the creatures and they can do it. They can field dress an animal out there, literally in the field.
I
And that could be
figured,
their specialty, is literally hunting and taking them apart. Or they could just be going for the quick kills and drop the stuff off back at town and let a cook do their thing.
yeah, I figured hunting and, like you said, tanning, because you should be able to like have those two, and then the hunting already has their own system, right?
Yeah.
So hunters already have their system of how to get those things. I think having the cooks and the tanners have the ability to have a little bit more, not to take a process from them, because again, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the tanner is going to be the one turning it into hide for cloth.
That's fair. Hunting is a gathering skill and processing to strip them down. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But
So I think letting the processors have the chance on a creature that you killed because you spec'd into that specifically.
yeah, and I think honestly I think that would actually be pretty decent then, if that's the case, is if hunters could have a skill where they could prep something to be better quality. That way they can do something else with the carcass besides just sell it. Like they could have a skill to prep it, and that would get them like an extra little bit of experience every time they do that. And then when they sell a pre-prepped carcass to a cook, they'll get better meat out of it. When they sell it to a leather worker or a tanner rather, they'll get better skins out of it. Something like that, I think, would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Mr. Newtastic says we already have the placeholder in the skills book of hunting bow and trap. So maybe hunting bow gets you the carcasses and trap gets you the trainables.
Potentially, yeah. Okay.
Very curious. But I could also see like the hunter places down a trap, goes around the creature that they're trying to get, and then lures them towards the trap by like scaring them towards the trap somehow, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of potential. I mean, Steven has recently talked about you should be able to go up to a tree and like water it or pick its fruit or chop it down. And I think there's going to be a lot of options with the artisan system in the future, and I can't wait to see what that future looks like. And a lot of the things that we were talking about, just as a recap here, a lot of the things that we're talking about are just idealized things that we're hoping for with Ashes, and not things that I'm expecting to be done tomorrow or like anytime soon, but just for the sake of conversation and for the sake of just talking about things that the community is talking about. So I've seen some of our comments where like, but Chibi, that quality of life thing is so low tier in terms of like priority. And I was like, yeah, I know, but wouldn't it be cool to still have it? Like the purpose is mainly just discussion. But
Erwin's over here going crazy about getting some banana juice.
Yep, I see that. Just go to the tropics. You got bananas there. To be fair, we do have empanadas there. All right, Vertec. I think that's all I really have for us. I mean, the only other thing was somebody was talking about they feel like being able to raise your citizen level and then buy those commodity certificates and then sell them kind of devalued the effort needed to be able to buy them in the first place, because anybody could get them at that point.
So which one's that? Sorry, I got distracted. My brain went totally off the rails. Erwin mentioned banana mead and my brain just got totally distracted. What'd you say?
Tell me you have ADHD without telling me you have ADHD. The commodity certificates.
Okay.
The only other thing I was going to mention really quickly, because I know it's already practically 11 here for us, is that Nabu was talking about how it feels unhelpful that you have to get to a certain tier of citizenship to get a commodity certificate of that rarity, but you could just turn around and sell it on the marketplace without them needing to be the same level. So it devalues it a little bit. Like, I have to work hard just to get like this legendary commodity certificate, but Joe Schmo who just started as a peasant over there can just buy it for money. And so that was just like the only other thing related to economy.
So I would disagree with that. I think if anything, it makes it more valuable for somebody to get their rep up, because if somebody gets their rep up, they can spend their effort to get the scripts needed to buy those and the reputation needed to buy those, and then they can sell them and make money in whatever way they choose. If they wish to go out and just gather and process, and that's going to be their life, is gathering and processing, and they turn those into buy orders that get them scripts and gets them rep, and then they turn those into money.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
They've spent their script and they've spent their time, and they're now making money on it. So everybody who doesn't do that, they're going to get rich off of.
Absolutely. I think so. I think that helped in general, because like you're essentially, it's kind of like that one time when Vladis was on and he was like, well, I think somebody who plays like 80 plus hours a week shouldn't be able to advance as far as quickly as me with my only like 20 hours. Just because he was talking about like the feeling of playing casually did not feel like it equaled the person playing 80 hours a week kind of thing. And in that similarity, the person that spends 80 hours a week doing all of this thing to pour into their settlement is benefiting from being able to make gold in other ways by selling to the people that play 20 hours a week, who also make their gold in other ways.
And you know what?
Without gating progression, that's a gap that will never be bridged. Fair.
And without getting too deep into it, kind of makes one think. Yeah. Like, would it be better for your node specifically if there were people who were not becoming citizens spending money in your node and running crates to and from your node by buying scripts from those who spent time to become citizens? Because now they're spending all that money and earning all that money and doing stuff in your node without that tax benefit.
Yeah.
And you know they're repairing their gear, and you know they're buying things to transfer to another node, and so it might get more gold in the coffer for your node if they're just buying your legendary commissions, commodity vouchers. What are they? What's the word?
I just had it. Commodity certificates.
Certificates, yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
So in theory, it's actually a net benefit. But, you know, we see.
Fair. One last topic for us before we leave.
Okay.
Garsimile says, speaking of banana juice, black cherry mead when? Cheers. I joined late, so sorry if y'all already talked about it, and the new mead batches icon is on screen. So I wanted to end on this because this is our tavern talk. We didn't really get to have a mead quest where you were able to like freely talk about all that stuff, but what can we talk about with the mead stuff, and when are you intending on starting our first batch of mead that we already
starting the first batch of mead? I'll let you know that I was looking at funds that we have and looking at sourcing out some honey as we were coming live during the initial 10-minute countdown.
There you
so
go.
It's gonna be soon. For the dark cherry, that's gonna be one of the first batches for sure. All this other stuff I like, sure, we'll give a try to some banana, you know, see if I can get some peanut butter flavoring to reliably get into the mead as well. And by peanut butter flavoring, if I have to put drops of artificial flavor in, it's not going to happen. So not doing that. It's got to be natural flavoring and natural processes some way, shape, or form. Cherry habanero limeade, not sure about that limeade part. Yeah, added in, but you know, we'll see maybe. Spiced mead is going to be another one of the first batches, because that's one of the first recipes we made, was a very much a Christmassy flavored citrus mulled wine is what it really came through.
Yeah.
It's going to be very much flavored with some orange zest, so it's going to have that bright orange flavor. while also being somewhat of a traditional-ish mulled wine with some of the typical spices you're used to hearing, like the
Yeah.
cloves and all that fun stuff. Yeah. So
But
those
if
are gonna
you
be the
had to
first
give
two for
an
sure.
estimation on our first two that we're starting,
Give
if all
me,
goes well,
if all goes well, 2 weeks to get myself back in the groove of it, because I need to go back and I need to
mhm,
review the old recipes. I need to get everything prepped. I need to make sure I have everything I'll need for every step of the way.
mhm.
Which means I might need to order some new equipment and such. Just because there might be a few things that are still straggling, and I don't want to get all the way to the rack and bottling end and not have something I need, because I would
Right.
cry. So it's, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be starting one, and it's usually about a month to month and a half for everything to fully go through and process, and then start the aging and clearing phase.
Yeah. Okay. So, I can tell you guys that we checking flights to try that meat. um, I can tell you guys that my goal is before. I wanted to do it before the end of January. I don't know how likely that is going to be. I'm still going to try to shoot for it, but I'd like to get Vertex video out for you guys on our mead progress, and that will be over on our TGF Adventures channel. I will put in an announcement into our Discord announcements once I officially have that recorded. And of course, those of you that are patrons or like subscribers on YouTube, members on YouTube, subscribers on Twitch, you guys will get the inside scoop once I've started the recording processes and or editing processes for that. So hold on tight. I just finished the script idea. I haven't ran it past Vertec yet. We've both been very busy, and I do want that to go out before too much longer. My goal is to start 2026 with that video. So it will be coming at least in the next, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks, because I would like to get it out before I leave for my conference in February. But that's just like the video of like how we're getting started and stuff like that. And Vertec, I thought that you might like this. I think I called it like the keg logs or something like that. I have it in my notes, but I thought that those would be kind of a cute name for like the update series.
Nice mead logs.
Mead logs.
Mm, mm,
Mead
mm,
logs, something like that. Yeah.
mm,
But
mm.
I was trying to figure out like what a reasonable amount of time to update would be. Even if you wanted to like film yourself, if I'm not around, for example, just checking on it and just talking to you guys in chat what you're doing with it. And, just I'll compile them into a mead log update.
Sweet.
So
And yeah, Erwin, I had to actually look up what wassail is, just because I hadn't heard that term, or I have heard that term, but I haven't heard what that term actually means.
I've never heard of that term ever.
Yeah, it's not quite that. You can look up the term metheglin. I'll type it in chat for you. It's wassail.
Wassail mead.
Metheglin. That's more of the direction, like cinnamon, clove, that type of stuff. Nutmeg.
Let me tell you, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so delicious to drink.
So yummy.
Yeah.
I prefer it warm. Other people preferred it room temp. Other people amphetamine one? No.
No.
Jeepers.
But I just want to say, like, the new mead batch that you see here, I think I'm flipped on the live stream. That is what like we're going to be using going forward to make new batches. So the money that we've made so far has covered recovering a lot of the things, and we'll go deeper in this in the video, but also getting our first couple batches started. And then that here is for the next batch of mead after we get the first couple started. So yeah, hang tight. But yeah, I don't know. Go
There's a
ahead.
couple planned. There's a couple planned, and I need to actually put them down on paper so I can put them in a priority and actual timed list.
We'll probably have that part of one of the mead log updates. But yeah, I just wanted to say welcome everybody to 2026. This is our first casual live stream of 2026, and I thought it was really important that we have a good hangout session. Again, you guys are always welcome, especially if you've been on our show previously, to come in and join us on the chat and talk about these things with us in voice chat. But of course, as you have done for those that joined us, or if you're watching later, thanks for the replay crew. You're welcome to leave your thoughts in the description comments, I guess, or the chat, live chat, while we're here. And we love reading all of that. I actually like checking in with the comments at least a couple of times a week just to see if anybody's left anything. And we enjoy chatting with you in the comments at least. So if not live, definitely prefer it live. But if you can't catch it, because we understand there's so many time zones and so much you can catch in a day. So thank you for being here, and we are super excited for 2026. I know I keep saying there's stuff that I can't wait to share with you, but until I get some of that rolling and I have some finite things that I can share, I don't want to share them quite yet. But the meat is just the tip of the iceberg. So pretty excited for that. And Vertec, I'll let you take us on out.
Alrighty. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You've been here listening to our ridiculousness, contributing to the ridiculousness, which is even better. So super happy about that. You folks are the reason we do this. Thank you so much. And by the way, definitely didn't miss you hopping in there, by the way, Isimo. Okay, Isimo. Wanted to say hello, welcome in. Saw you sneak in the middle of our conversation.
Yes, I read it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back to that, and then I forgot. Oh my god.
Yeah. Hey, it happens when we're deep in conversation. But yeah, we're back now. We took ourselves a month break, and so we really appreciate you guys hopping back in and hanging out with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You spent your time here. It is your most valuable commodity, as we always try to remind you. It's really a special thing when you take something you can earn once and you can spend once. You spent it here. It means a lot to us. We really do appreciate it, and you know. It's too bad we can't give refunds if you didn't find it worthwhile.
Fair, but we can give you receipts. Not that would give you a refund.
It would not. But you know, close. Am I right? Hi, everybody. Thank you again.
The memory with your receipt.
Yes. Everybody take care. We'll catch you around next time. Have a good night.
See you next time. Good night.